Okay, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to do question 51, and this is from the SAT number 16. And the question reads, based on the data in the figure, which choice is a reasonable conclusion about lunar glass bead green number 5? So here we have a figure question here. It's all about lunar glass bead green number 5, so we don't have to worry about kind of choosing between different beads. And basically we need to choose a correct claim or a reasonable claim based on what we have here. So first thing we want to do is let's just get a sense, make sure we understand what the figure is about. So it's a pretty simple graph. On the y-axis, we have water concentration in parts per million, and it's going up, right? So, 0 all the way up to 35 parts per million. And then here we have distance from the core, micrometers. So here is a 0 distance from the core. So this is the core here. And then as we go outside, we eventually get to the rim. And then we're basically going to notice this basic trend, which shows that as we're closer to the core, we have a higher water concentration. And then as we move outside of the core and go closer to the rim, the water concentration dips. So that's that. So we want to choose a answer choice that's going to be correct based on the information that we have here. So I think the best way to do it is just go through them one by one and then choose the option that makes most sense. So A says beyond 100 micrometers from its core, water is not detectable. So that is basically saying that if we go 100 meters from the core up to here, we're not going to be able to detect any more water beyond that. But we see that that's not correct because we have observations here and observations here at about 120 all the way up to 140 or so. So for that reason, that's not a good answer choice. B says at no point in time did its water concentration exceed 30 parts per million. We come up here, we notice that this is just below 30 parts per million. So maybe it is true because we can't go any further back from the core, right? It's unlikely that there's gonna be more water here. So basically it's right here, right? So 30 parts per million, it is right below that. So maybe this is a good answer choice. Let's keep it. C says its water concentration at 120 micrometers is approximately half that at its core. So water concentration at 120 versus at the core. So water concentration at 120 is right here. We'll see that that's about 15, a little bit less. And then water concentration at the core is about 30, a little bit less. So 15 is about half of 30, plus we have the qualification here approximately, so we don't have to be too exact. So this is also a good answer choice. Keep it. D says its water concentration is 50% less than it once was. So we have to kind of understand what it's talking about here. And what it seems to be saying is that the entire bead itself, that the water concentration over time has changed. So the total water concentration in the entire bead used to be, used to have a certain amount of water concentration, and then over time that water changed, and now we're at 50% less than what it once was. Maybe this is true, and maybe this is an interesting claim. The problem is that the graph itself, the figure itself, doesn't measure change over time. It only measures a single instance where they measured the water concentration. So we have no way of knowing if it was 50% or 75% less than it used to be. So we get rid of that. So now we're left with B and C, and we have to decide between them. There's a couple things that I think we should notice about this. One is notice that how strong B is. B says at no point in time did it exceed. This no point in time is a very absolute claim, and we can compare that to the approximately here in answer choice C. Doesn't necessarily mean that C is correct and B is wrong, but it should stick out to us when we're trying to decide between them. As I keep going back and forth, I'm looking for an error in one of them, and I can't really find one. They both seem to make sense. So the only thing that I do end up falling on is this at no point. I'm like, okay, basically what it's saying is that at no point in time, so not just in this single instance that they measured the bead, but at no point in time was there ever a greater water concentration than 30 parts per million. And basically, if we go back to the text, we should find this line or pay attention to this line. Actually, before we even go to this line, we don't even need this line. I would feel confident just choosing C over B, just based on the fact that C is more general and B is too strong. So one of them has to be wrong, one of them has to be right. I'm going to go with the more general option almost every time. However, if we go back up to the text, we'll find this line here, which says over billions of years, most of the glass bead's original water has evaporated to space, more from the outsides than from the cores. So this is saying that most of the glass bead's original water, right, the water that it had, has evaporated to space. So over time, the entire concentration of the glass bead has gone down. So we can't say for sure that at no point in time was there more than 30 parts per million within this individual glass bead. So for that reason, we can get rid of B, and then we choose answer choice C as our correct answer for question